Since the Second World War, China has been Japan's greatest threat, suppressing its military strength over and over again in the course of past misunderstandings. Tired of watching China grow more powerful and to put an end to the years of being subdued, Japan has decided to take a bold step against China by investing billions of dollars into the development of a formidable aircraft carrier that is unrivaled. This move has not only shocked China, but the world is stunned as well. Why is this carrier better than the others? Is Japan ready to take on China? Join us as we look into the unique capabilities of the aircraft carrier that Japan has spent billions on, stunning the world. For years now, China and Japan have been part of the biggest economies globally. In 2008, they traded a lot, making them each other's top trading partners. Even though they're closely connected economically, their diplomatic relationship is filled with disputes. Over time, their relationship got extremely strained. China stated that the strain between them is because Japan has not admitted the mistakes it made in the past during World War II. But on the other hand, Japan believes the tension is from the People's Liberation Army being too active and their limitless expansion. Things got a bit better between China and Japan when Shinzo Abe became Japan's prime minister in 2006. They did a joint study in 2010 that suggested a truce about Japanese war crimes. However, problems from the past world wars and disagreements about the East China Sea continue. The dispute over the Senkaku Islands has led to unfriendly encounters, strong language, and protests in China and Taiwan. Since Japanese aircraft carriers were retired and forgotten for many years, and as a result of China's growing threat, Japan has taken a bold step forward and decided to spend a mind-blowing amount of $56 billion in 2024, and by 2027, it looks forward to budgeting over $300 billion by 2027. Eventually, Japan is planning to equip its current and future submarines with more advanced long-range cruise missiles that are launchable from both vertical launch systems and torpedo tubes. Currently, the submarines are armed with a Harpoon missile from the US, but the demands of the future battlefield may need something more. The newest Soryu-class submarine, called Oryu, is the first Japanese sub to use lithium-ion batteries. The Japanese government allocated $64.3 billion, around $613 million, to the development of this project in the 2015 defense budget. The submarine replaced its former batteries with lithium-ion batteries that can store almost twice as much electricity as the usual lead-acid ones. In addition to replacing the old batteries, the Oryu adds more lithium-ion batteries to the large space inside the hull. This space was previously used for AIP Stirling engines and their fuel tanks. This change massively increases the overall battery capacity, making the submarine stay underwater much longer. This is seen as an improvement over the slow recharge of the AIP system. The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force is convinced that lithium-ion is the future and plans to test this new system. They will compare it to the previous AIP system to see which one works better in actual operations. It is on the lookout to be replaced, possibly a brand new missile derived from the Type 12 subsonic anti-ship missile already in service with the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, or an upgraded variant of the missile. The upgraded Type 12 would bring about a much-needed change for Japan's submarine fleet, one of the largest and most silent on the planet. This country is also breaking a 7-decade-old promise by building an aircraft carrier class, the Izumo class. Comprising the JS Izumo and JS Kaga, these twin floating bases are being upgraded to aircraft carrier status to challenge threats. It is equipped with short takeoff and vertical landing fighters like the F-35B Lightning II. After conversion, 3 years later, 2 United States Marine Corps F-35B fighters performed the first vertical landings and horizontal takeoffs from Izumo, marking the first time in more than 75 years that a fixed-wing aircraft would be operated from a Japanese carrier. Along with the F-35B, these Izumo-class aircraft carriers, once completed, would each have the ability to carry 7 anti-submarine helicopters, 2 search and rescue helicopters, and a variety of other aircraft. For built-in weapons, the Izumo class has an air defense suite consisting of 2 phalanx and 2 RAM close-in weapon systems. It has a wide array of sensors, processing systems, electronic warfare, and decoys that enable it to spot and counter threats in time. All of these are powered by a propulsion system of a Kodaiji with 2 shafts and 4 GE LM2500 IEC gas turbines that produce up to 11 1,200 horsepower, equivalent to 83,000 kilowatts. This propulsion system thrusts the Izumo to a maximum speed of 30 knots and provides enough power across the entire ship to accommodate a large number of people. All of these features and capabilities add up to give each Izumo-class vessel a current price tag of over $1 billion, a price that would soon go up once the conversion process is complete. Its conversion began in 2020 with initial modifications, including strengthening the heat resistance of the deck and installing power supply equipment to enable the departure and arrival of the F-35B. There is a second planned renovation at the end of 2024 to change the bow shape to a quadrangle for the safe operation of the F-35B and the maintenance of the interior compartment. JS Kaga began the first phase conversion in March 2022, and the second phase is scheduled for March 2025. Once conversions are complete, the Izumo-class aircraft carriers will set off into the seas. With it being on sea, this new upgraded Japanese aircraft carrier would be up against the Type 003 Fujian of China and sail alongside HMS Queen Elizabeth, HMS Prince of Wales of the UK, and the Gerald Ford class of the US. Let's take a look at the features of the most powerful aircraft carriers starting from China. The brand new Type 003 class Fujian is the largest conventionally powered aircraft carrier in the world. It is the only aircraft carrier in the East to feature electromagnetic catapults and arresters to launch and slow down aircraft, respectively. With a displacement of 80,000 tons, it is the largest aircraft carrier in the world outside the United States. After being launched a few months ago, the Fujian, there's not much information about this carrier. The next up is the United Kingdom, which has 2 aircraft carriers in service, both of the Queen Elizabeth class. The powerful ship is the HMS Queen Elizabeth, followed by the HMS Prince of Wales. They are both the largest non-American aircraft carriers in the West and the most expensive, with a combined cost of $9.4 billion. Both vessels weigh about 65 ton, and they can each carry up to 1,600 people and over 65 aircraft across an 11,500 miles distance. The aircraft on board these carriers include the Chinook, Apache AH-MK1, Merlin HM2, HC-4 Wildcat AH-1, and HMA-2, Merlin Crow's Nest AEW, and the F-35B Lightning II. Even though they are alike, there is a significant difference between these 2 carriers. The HMS Queen Elizabeth, with a 30-knot top speed, is significantly faster than the HMS Prince of Wales, which has a top speed of 25 knots. Now, let's move on to the US Gerald Ford class, the most powerful aircraft carrier class in history. Each aircraft carrier of this class costs over $13 billion, with 10 carriers planned for the class. That's a total cost of $130 billion, making it the most expensive. The leading carrier of the Ford class, the USS Gerald Ford, has a record-setting displacement of 10,000 tons. It is powered by 2 Bechtel A-1B nuclear reactors, the most advanced engines created for use on water. The formidable carrier can sail for 25 years without needing to refuel. It also has a peak speed of 30 knots and powers the livelihood of over 4,500 people on board at a time. The supercarrier can carry up to 75 aircraft of whatever form, shape, or size, including unmanned aerial vehicles, both the F-35B and F-35C. This versatility is made possible by electromagnetic launch and arrest systems so advanced that they can support 4,100 takeoffs and 16,500 arrests before faults. Without these aircraft, the USS Ford is capable of protecting itself. It features 4 missile launchers and 11 guns. It is also the first aircraft carrier ever to wield laser weapons. Let's get back to Japan. After this country invested $23 billion in F-35s, it is still looking for a formidable and powerful 6th-generation fighter jet. A joint effort with Britain and Italy regarding this project involves advanced technologies, stealth capabilities, and a revolutionary armament lineup, including potential laser weapons. Out of the $8.78 billion that the country plans to spend on its defense system, 15% of the 2024 budget is allocated to developing Japan's missile defense systems. This project includes the construction of 2 eye system-equipped vessels that weigh over 20,000 tons each and serve as ballistic missile defense warships. These vessels will rely on the revolutionary eye system technology for effective missile tracking and interception. The most important part of Japan's 2024 budget is the plan to deploy standoff missiles to match up against China's missiles. About $5.15 billion has been set aside to purchase locally made Type 12 cruise missiles, the United States Tomahawk missiles, and also developing future generations of formidable long-range missiles, including hypersonic missiles that are expected to enter service in the 2030. In addition to this, Japan also possesses a 6th-generation fighter jet that has rare capabilities. The Mitsubishi FX, also known as F-3, is a super-advanced stealth fighter being created for the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. This fighter jet, which is Japan's first stealth one, was developed to take over from the Mitsubishi F-2 by the mid-2030s. Building this aircraft aims to strengthen Japan's defense industry and maybe even sell it internationally as Japan adjusts its defense approach. In October 2020, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries got chosen as the main developer for this project. On December 9, 2022, Japan, the United Kingdom, and Italy announced together that they are teaming up to create and use a shared fighter jet called the Global Combat Air Program. This involves combining the development of the UK's BAE Systems Tempest with Japan's FX. In Japan, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries will lead the project, with IHI Corporation handling the engines and Mitsubishi Electric handling the electronics. In the United Kingdom, BAE Systems will manage the aircraft, Rolls-Royce will work on the engines, and Leonardo UK will handle the electronics. Italy's Leonardo SPA and Avio Aero will also be part of the development, along with MBDA working on the missiles. By around 2024, they plan to figure out the detailed plans and costs for each company, and production is set to start around 2030. The first planes are expected to be ready for use in 2035. Additionally, there will be collaboration with the United States for developing an unmanned aircraft alongside the F-3 starting in the year 2023. Japan can also boast of its formidable fighter jet, the FX. The FX program started when the United States prohibited Japan from buying the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor due to a rule that was enforced in 1997 to protect the technology of the F-22. Due to this event, Japan decided to develop their own fighter jet to replace the old and outdated ones. The Ministry of Defense looked into the development of a new fighter jet from December 2009 to August 2010. The replacement FX is a stealthy 2-engine fighter jet that performed best in the air. According to Japan's Ministry of Defense, this fighter jet is a 6th-generation fighter jet, which makes it more advanced than the others. The main reason for its earned nickname Godzilla is because the ministry wants the jet to be long-ranged and to accommodate a lot of things than the F-35. The idea was to make a fighter jet that's even more advanced than the 5th-generation ones at the time. They called this concept fighter the I-3 fighter, which stands for informed, intelligent, instantaneous. Some things they wanted this concept fighter to have are super advanced radar to deal with the stealth technology of other fighters, getting targeting information from different sources like drones or other aircraft, using flyby optics to process information faster, having stealth technology, using gallium nitride semiconductors to make radar work better, and a new, more powerful engine. In March 2017, Japan and the UK agreed to check if they can work together to create a new fighter jet. By March 2018, the Japanese government was deciding whether to make the FX in Japan, work together with others, or use an existing fighter design. They asked the US and the UK if they wanted to be part of the project, and Boeing, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, and Northrop Grumman said they were interested. Boeing suggested an improved fighter based on their F-15, BAE Systems offered their Eurofighter Typhoon, and Lockheed Martin proposed a mix of the F-22 and F-35, with Japan doing most of the work. Northrop Grumman also wanted to join, and there was talk about offering a modernized YF-23 to Japan. Japan and the UK are also thinking about working together on the FX and Tempest projects in some way. By October 2018, the Ministry of Defense decided not to make the new fighter based on existing designs. Boeing's F-15 and BAE Systems Eurofighter Typhoon didn't meet the ministry's needs and expectations. Lockheed Martin's mixed stealth fighter raised concerns because it was really expensive, and there were doubts if the US would allow the sale because of restrictions on the F-22. It was even estimated that this fighter could cost as much as $177 million per aircraft. In early February 2019, the Ministry of Defense said they are starting a Japan-led future fighter program. They might work with foreign defense companies, but they won't be making or building existing foreign fighter jets in Japan. The plan is to focus on Japanese industries to create and build the stealth fighter. This program will run from 2019 to 2023. Following the Ministry of Defense's midterm defense program. It will take about 15 years to finish, which is when the F-2 jets are expected to retire. The Ministry of Defense has 5 main priorities for this program's development. The Ministry of Defense wants the new stealth fighter to have the capability for future air superiority, the potential to get better with next-gen technologies, the ability to change and improve the new platform, and its involvement of Japanese industry. They wanted all these at an affordable cost. When they design the FX, they first make ideas on how it should look and work, then use a 3D computer system to check it out. They base the design on what they think the FX should do. Next, they put the design in a simulator that they made for research flights and battles. They input information about electronics, how hidden it is, and how the engine works. Pilots from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force then test it in the simulator, doing air-to-air fights to see how good it is. They figure out what works well and what needs to get better. The FX is different from the one before it because it uses electric parts instead of hydraulic ones. The Ministry of Defense likes electric parts because they make it easier to design the inside of the stealth fighter. When they make the stealthy shape of the plane, they have to think about where to put the weapons and air ducts. Using hydraulic systems can be tricky because of their design, like being too rigid or long. But if they use electric parts, it's simpler to put them in, and there are fewer rules to follow. This makes it easier to design the plane's body. Plus, using electric parts makes the plane lighter and easier to move. They use these electric parts in how the fighter moves and stops. To make it harder to detect by radar, the FX has a design with twisted air ducts and an internal weapons bay. Electromagnetic wave absorbers made of carbon-based material are applied to the air ducts and engines to decrease radar reflection. Tests show that these absorbers can cut the detection range from radar threats in half. Metamaterials made from various materials like small pieces of metals and dielectric are used to reflect radio waves. They are applied to the pulse Doppler system as part of a technology to control how radio waves are reflected on the FX. To reduce the chance of being detected by radar emissions, the FX focuses on passive detection and adjusts its sensor programs to emit radar in a way that lowers the risk of being counter-detected. The FX also uses plasma stealth antenna technology to redirect radio waves. This antenna can create temporary plasma using electrical control, making it harder to spot. When activated, the antenna can still send and receive communications. The ASM-3 missile is made for the FX as it replaces the F-2. The FX will have a microwave weapon to disrupt incoming missiles, activated by its AESA radar using high-efficiency and miniaturized electron tube amplifiers. Japan is planning to introduce unmanned combat aerial vehicles alongside the FX, known as Combat Support Unmanned Aircraft. Similar to projects like Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie or Boeing Air Power Teaming System, these drones act as loyal wingmen to the controlling aircraft. There are two versions. One acts as a sensor carrier and scouts for targets, while the other fires munitions and diverts incoming missiles from the parent aircraft. Both versions have the same design. These drones are expected to be fully developed by the 2030s. Thanks for watching. While you're still here, click on the link appearing on your screen to watch another of our interesting videos. See you there!